Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be super exciting, so stay tuned and watch till the very end. Tonight's story unfolds like a storm that's been gathering for years, quietly rumbling in the distance before finally cracking open across the entire Shannon family. Viewers who have followed Mama June, Pumpkin, Josh, and the rest of the clan know one thing for certain. Nothing in this family ever happens quietly. And now, as the news of Pumpkin and Josh's divorce spreads everywhere, fans are stunned. Not because the split happened, but because of the unbelievable reaction Mama June Shannon had when asked about it. Instead of sadness, regret, or even silence, Mama June delivered a statement that fans are calling shocking, ruthless, and brutally honest all at the same time. She denied being the reason behind their divorce, and then openly admitted she's glad their marriage is over. This is where the real story begins. Pumpkin and Josh's marriage has been tested on every front imaginable. The pressures of raising kids young, the financial struggle, the stress of caring for Alana, and the unpredictable chaos that often follows Mama June around. It all built up over the years like layers of emotional weight no one could see until it finally cracked. But if anyone thought Mama June would take responsibility or show remorse, they were mistaken. When confronted about whether she influenced their split, Mama June immediately insisted she had nothing to do with it, saying Pumpkin and Josh were falling apart long before anything she did. Yet, in almost the same breath, she said she's glad it's over, claiming the relationship was toxic, strained, and doomed long ago. Fans immediately questioned her intentions. Was she being honest? Was she trying to clear her own name? Or was she rewriting history before the truth reached the public? Anyone who watched the show knows how much pressure Pumpkin carried. Raising kids, raising Alana, taking charge during June's darkest times, and trying to maintain her own marriage. Josh stood by her, trying to support her emotionally and financially. But every person has a breaking point. Many viewers believe that even if June didn't directly cause the divorce, her past actions created the stress that destroyed the relationship over time. And Mama June knows that. She knows fans remember everything. The custody battle with Alana, the arguments, the unstable periods, the emotional burden Pumpkin carried while also raising her own children. So when Mama June says Pumpkin and Josh weren't happy for a long time, fans can't help but wonder if she's deflecting blame or revealing something deeper. Because her statement wasn't just dismissive, it was strangely confident, as if she expected the marriage to fall apart eventually. That word she used, inevitable, hit fans like a shockwave. It was inevitable. Then why didn't she help? Why didn't she support Pumpkin and Josh's marriage instead of standing by and predicting its failure? Some fans think Mama June is relieved because Pumpkin and Josh's relationship was one of the few things she couldn't control. Others believe she felt ignored or criticized by Pumpkin and took satisfaction in seeing something in her daughter's life break apart. But there's another layer. The long-term emotional tension between Pumpkin and June. Pumpkin took over as the stable figure in the family when June was absent. She stepped into a mother role, not just for Alana, but sometimes even for June. That kind of responsibility changes a person, and it changes relationships too. Josh began feeling more like a soldier in a war he never signed up for, constantly fighting battles that weren't his. Behind the scenes, arguments grew more intense. Money became tighter. Time became shorter. Pumpkin was stretched thin between motherhood, sisterhood, and responsibility. Josh was overwhelmed, exhausted, and often emotionally distant. Even though they tried their best, the weight never went away. It grew. And now with the marriage ending, you would expect the family to come together. But instead, Mama June stood apart from them with a cold kind of clarity, almost as if she believed she had been proven right. Now the family stands fractured in more ways than anyone sees. Pumpkin is trying to move forward, Josh is trying to find peace, and June is giving statements that feel more like sparks thrown into a gasoline fire. Fans are asking, did June really have nothing to do with the divorce? Did her past choices create the emotional pressure that broke the marriage? Or is there something deeper, something hidden, that only the family knows? But the biggest twist is this. Mama June claims she warned Pumpkin and Josh about their relationship years ago. She claims she saw the cracks long before anyone else. Long before things fell apart. Whether that's true or not, fans think those cracks may have come from years of stress, old wounds, unresolved conflict, and emotional scars left by June's past behavior. And that brings us to the present moment, where tension is rising again, emotions are boiling, and a new storm is forming. Because this divorce is not the end for the Shannon family. It is the beginning of a deeper, more complicated conflict that will shape their relationships for years to come. Mama June feels relieved. Pumpkin feels betrayed. Josh feels exhausted. And fans feel like they are watching history repeat itself. One question remains. Is Mama June telling the truth, hiding the truth, or rewriting the truth? The answer depends on which part of the story you choose to believe. But one thing is certain, this family's drama is far from over, and what comes next might be even more explosive than the divorce itself. But the real shock isn't just what Mama June said. It's what she didn't say. Sometimes silence reveals more than the loudest confession, and in this case, fans notice something chilling. Mama June never once expressed sadness for Pumpkin or Josh. Not once did she say she hoped they would heal. Not once did she say she supported them. Instead, her tone carried a strange satisfaction, as if she had been waiting for this moment, as if she believed the collapse justified something she felt long ago. And this attitude opened up a floodgate of questions from fans. People online started asking, why does Mama June sound happy about the divorce? Why does she speak with certainty as if she knows more than she's saying? And why does she act like the breakup confirms some kind of point she was trying to make? These questions gained momentum, and soon, theories formed everywhere. Many pointing to the long, messy history that built tension between Mama June and Pumpkin. Their relationship has always been complicated. Pumpkin stepped into responsibility when June spiraled. Pumpkin protected her siblings when June disappeared. Pumpkin sacrificed her own young adulthood trying to hold the family together. These actions created strength but also created resentment, because no daughter should have to become the mother, the provider, the anchor keeping everything from sinking. And while Pumpkin did all of this silently, Josh was right there beside her, trying to keep things stable. But stability is difficult in a house built on cracks. The more Pumpkin tried to lead, the more Josh felt overshadowed. The more Pumpkin took on, the more Josh felt like his role was fading. And the more June injected chaos, the more stress landed on Pumpkin and Josh's marriage. Fans remember the arguments, the emotional breakdowns, the pressure. Nothing happens in a vacuum, especially not in this family. Now, with the marriage gone, something else is happening. Pumpkin and Josh are pulling away from the emotional orbit of Mama June. They are building separate paths, and for the first time in years, their decisions won't be shaped by June's shadow. But Mama June, aware of this shift, seems to be positioning herself differently. Almost like she's creating a story where she's the wise observer instead of the one whose choices shape the pain. But there's another twist, one fans haven't seen yet. Behind closed doors, Pumpkin has reportedly been distancing herself more and more from June. Not just because of the divorce, but because she feels June is using sensitive family issues for attention. This is something Pumpkin has feared for years, that personal family pain would become entertainment for the outside world. And now that her marriage has ended, the last thing she wants is June speaking publicly or spinning the narrative. Meanwhile, Josh is dealing with the breakup in his own way. Broken marriages leave scars, especially when they involve children. Josh is trying to be present, trying to stay strong, but he is also emotionally shattered. He invested years into this family. He stood by Pumpkin even when everything around them was falling apart. And now, as he watches Mama June talk about the divorce casually, almost proudly, he feels something deeper. Like the effort he gave, the love he gave, the sacrifices he made are being dismissed. But Mama June's behavior has always been difficult to interpret. Some say she's emotionally detached. Some say she genuinely believes she's being honest. Others say she's trying to clear her conscience by pretending she's not responsible. But whatever her intention is, one thing is clear. Her words ignited a firestorm. Online, fans are split. Some defend Mama June, saying she's simply telling the truth, that Pumpkin and Josh weren't happy and staying in a broken marriage would only hurt the kids. But others are furious, saying June has no right to comment on a relationship she consistently stressed through her actions. They argue she should show empathy, comfort, compassion, not satisfaction. And all of this is happening publicly, under the bright light of media attention. Which raises another question. Does Mama June understand the emotional weight of her words? Her history with the family has always been rocky, and this moment adds another layer to it. Fans know the Shannon family rarely experiences peace. Drama always circles back around, and this divorce appears to be triggering the next chapter in a cycle that has repeated for years. But deep underneath all the noise, a quieter truth sits. Pumpkin and Josh didn't just lose a marriage. They lost years of stability they fought hard to build. They lost the dream of raising their children in a united home. They lost the emotional safety that comes with partnership. And Mama June's reaction, her relief, Feels like salt poured onto a wound that hasn't even begun to heal. As the story continues to spread, more revelations are expected. More reactions. More tension. Because if there's one thing certain about the Shannon family, it's that nothing ends quietly. Every ending triggers a new beginning, every fracture creates a new conflict, and every drama uncovers a deeper truth. And this divorce. It's not the end, it is the beginning of a new storm. One that might expose hidden conversations, secret frustrations, and years of emotional pain the public has never seen before. And as this storm grows, Mama June's words echo louder and louder. Was inevitable. But the world is left wondering, was it really inevitable? Or was it the result of everything this family has been through? As the dust settles around the divorce announcement, something even more unexpected begins happening behind the scenes. The Shannon family, already shaken by years of emotional chaos, is starting to split into invisible sides. People who once stood together are now quietly drifting apart, and the tension is thicker than ever. Mama June's comments didn't just shock fans, they triggered emotional waves through the entire family. Pumpkin, hearing her mother say she's glad the marriage ended, felt something break inside her. Not the kind of break that comes from sadness, but the kind that comes from deep disappointment. For years, she carried responsibilities that weren't hers, protected her siblings from pain, shielded the family name, and stepped up when June stepped away. All Pumpkin ever wanted was stability. And now, hearing her own mother sound relieved about her marriage collapsing felt like a betrayal she didn't expect. Meanwhile, Alana, Honey Boo Boo, finds herself stuck in the middle again. She loves her sister Pumpkin more than anything, because Pumpkin raised her when June couldn't. But she also wants to believe her mother has changed. This divorce forces her into an emotional crossroads. She sees Pumpkin hurting. She hears what June said. She feels the tension rising. And no matter how hard she tries to stay neutral, the pressure pulls at her heart. She knows what this family has endured, and the thought of losing another sense of stability scares her. She silently fears that the divorce might create a chain reaction, one that tears apart every fragile connection left in the family. Josh, on the other hand, is dealing with the breakup in a way he never expected. For years, he was the rock, supporting Pumpkin, helping raise the kids, handling the daily grind of work and responsibility. But now, he's facing a harsh new reality. A reality with loneliness. A reality with distance. A reality where the family he helped hold together is no longer his. And what hurts him the most isn't the separation. It's the feeling that no matter how much he gave, no matter how many sacrifices he made, it still wasn't enough. And hearing Mama June talk about the divorce like it was a predicted event makes him feel invisible, almost erased from the narrative. But this story doesn't stay contained for long. People close to the family start sharing small details. Arguments that happened off camera, emotional moments the public never saw, and the silent struggles that built up over time. These unseen fragments begin painting a clearer picture of what really happened. And the picture doesn't look simple. It looks painful, layered, emotional. Pumpkin and Josh fought hard for their marriage, but the weight of old trauma, unspoken wounds, and external pressures made the fight feel endless. As this deeper truth starts surfacing, fans demand one thing: accountability. Not just from Pumpkin. Not just from Josh. But from Mama June. Because no matter how much June tries to separate herself, her influence echoes through every corner of this family's story. Years of decisions created cracks that never fully healed. And now, those cracks have grown into fractures. Fractures that led to a marriage collapsing and a family standing at another emotional crossroads. Mama June continues to insist she isn't to blame, but the tone in her voice, the confidence in her statements, and the lack of sympathy make people question her intentions even more. Some believe June is using this moment to reset her image. Others think she's distancing herself to avoid criticism. And a few believe she's simply telling her truth without realizing the emotional damage it causes. But one person sees everything clearly: Pumpkin. After the divorce, she begins understanding the pattern that has followed her family for years. Chaos, repair, chaos again. And she realizes she is done repeating it. For the first time, Pumpkin starts drawing emotional boundaries. She begins telling herself that she deserves peace, even if it means separating from people she loves. She begins prioritizing her kids, her future, and her stability above everything else. And though she doesn't say it publicly, she feels something powerful rising inside her: determination. Determination to break the cycle that has haunted her family for generations. And that's where a new chapter begins, one that no one expected. Because when people hit their breaking point, they either collapse or transform. And Pumpkin isn't collapsing. She's changing, growing, becoming stronger. She's stepping into a new version of herself, one that isn't defined by her mother's choices or the weight of old trauma. Meanwhile, Josh is learning to rebuild himself too. He's shaken, but he's not defeated. He's hurt, but he's healing. And despite the heartbreak, he still wants to be a good father, a good provider, and a stable presence in his children's lives. But Mama June? She doesn't see the transformation happening around her. She still believes she's watching the story from outside, but in reality, she remains at the center of it. Her words, her choices, her reactions, they continue shaping the emotional direction of everyone involved. And as more drama unfolds, one thing is certain. This divorce is not the end of conflict in the Shannon family. It is the beginning of a deeper, more emotional unraveling that may expose truths the public has never heard. Truths that could change everything. Pumpkin slowly begins reclaiming her life. Something else starts shifting around her. Something the public doesn't see, but insiders feel clearly. The Shannon family dynamic is beginning to tilt. There's tension between loyalty and truth, between silence and honesty, between protecting the family image and exposing the emotional reality. Every member is feeling the ripple effect of the divorce, but no one is feeling it more deeply than Mama June. Because for the first time in a long time, she is losing the narrative. People aren't buying her words the way they once did. Fans who once defended her are now questioning her motives. And June senses this change, even if she pretends not to. Her interviews, her social media posts, her tone, they all hint at someone trying to regain control of a situation slipping out of her hands. Meanwhile, Pumpkin is done holding back. She may not be speaking publicly, but privately she is pushing away the emotional chains that have held her down for years. She's becoming firmer, stronger, more protective of her own peace. Every moment she spends reflecting brings back years of memories. Late-night arguments, financial struggles, emotional exhaustion, and the overwhelming fear of losing control of her own life. She realizes that her marriage didn't fall apart overnight. Wasn't one moment or one argument. Was the accumulation of stress that never lifted. And at the center of so much of that stress, whether June admits it or not, was Mama June's chaotic influence. Josh, too, is having realizations of his own. The marriage may be over, but he now understands how much pressure Pumpkin was carrying alone. He sees how much of herself she gave. He recognizes how heavy the past truly was. And although their paths are no longer the same, he begins to feel a sense of empathy, almost regret, not for leaving, but for not understanding sooner how deeply the weight of her responsibilities affected her. And yet, despite everything, the one thing they both agree on, silently, is that they must protect their children from repeating the family cycle. But Mama June? She interprets their silence differently. Instead of seeing it as a boundary, she sees it as distance. And distance threatens her. For years, June has relied on being at the center of attention, being the defining voice, the emotional pivot point. Now, with Pumpkin stepping back, June feels an uncomfortable fear rising, the fear of being excluded from the narrative. That fear begins influencing her choices more than she realizes. She starts sharing more cryptic posts, dropping indirect comments, and giving interviews where she carefully shapes herself as the misunderstood one. But fans see through it. They know the patterns. They recognize the manipulation. And with every comment June makes, more and more viewers shift their empathy towards Pumpkin and Josh. Alana, caught between past and present, feels the emotional tug-of-war intensify. She wants peace, but peace seems impossible in a family built on unresolved wounds. She wants unity, but unity feels fragile. She watches Pumpkin growing stronger, Josh withdrawing quietly, and June pushing her narrative louder than ever. And inside her heart, she feels an old fear resurfacing, the fear that the family she fought so hard to rebuild might fracture again. And that fear? It's not unfounded. Because behind the scenes, something else is happening. Something the public hasn't heard yet. There are whispers that Pumpkin may be preparing to speak out, not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. Years of silence might finally break. And if that happens, the truth she reveals could change everything people think they know about this divorce, about the family history, and about Mama June's real role in all of it. But the most shocking part is this. Mama June has no idea this storm is coming. She thinks the divorce story is fading. She thinks the family will adjust. She thinks people will move on. But the emotional pressure building behind the scenes is like a dam waiting to burst. One wrong statement from June, one indirect jab, one insensitive comment, could trigger a public conflict that exposes everything. And the world is waiting. Because whether June accepts it or not, this divorce isn't just a personal matter. It's the mirror reflecting years of pain the family never resolved. And now, with Pumpkin determined to protect her peace, Josh quietly rebuilding his life, and Alana praying for stability, the next chapter of this story is about to unfold. Chapter where truth will surface. Chapter where silence will break. Chapter where the world will finally see what really happened behind closed doors. As the emotional tension rises inside the Shannon family, an invisible line begins forming. One that separates truth from appearances, past wounds from future choices, and loyalty from self-respect. And although no one is speaking publicly yet, every action, every silence, every look exchanged in private is hinting at a massive shift that's on the horizon. Mama June continues presenting herself as the misunderstood figure, claiming she's being unfairly blamed, insisting she's only telling her side of the truth. But behind closed doors, her confidence is cracking. She notices Pumpkin pulling away. She notices Josh cutting ties. She notices Alana becoming quieter, more distant, more observant. And that scares her more than she expected. Because for Mama June, losing control of the narrative means losing influence, something she has always struggled to accept. Meanwhile, Pumpkin is entering a stage she has never allowed herself to reach before, emotional clarity. She is replaying the past not out of pain, but out of understanding. She finally sees how much she endured over the years. How many sacrifices she made, how many responsibilities she carried, how many times she put her own happiness aside to keep the family together. And now, without the weight of a collapsing marriage on her shoulders, she is beginning to rediscover who she is outside of trauma. That self-discovery is giving her a quiet strength, a fire inside her that is growing day by day. Josh is going through his own transformation. The heartbreak still stings, but he is slowly accepting that he and Pumpkin were fighting battles that neither of them created. He begins realizing that sometimes love isn't enough when the environment around you is constantly pulling you in different directions. And despite the pain, he knows one truth for sure. He will always be there for his kids. No matter what. He may not be Pumpkin's husband anymore, but he refuses to stop being a father. But the twist comes from an unexpected angle. Extended family members who have stayed silent until now. They've watched the events unfold over the years. They've seen the arguments, the sacrifices, the emotional strain. And slowly, they begin stepping forward with support for Pumpkin. Nothing loud. Nothing public. Just quiet reassurance that she is not alone. And those small gestures mean more to her than they realize. But the pressure building around Mama June doesn't stop. Fans continue criticizing her reaction to the divorce. Comments flood her social media, questioning her empathy, her accountability, her role in the emotional chaos that shaped the family. And every negative comment pushes her deeper into a defensive mindset. She starts insisting even more firmly that she's innocent. She starts claiming that people don't know the full story. She tries to portray herself as the strong one who simply spoke the truth. But the truth she's avoiding is louder than the one she's sharing. Because deep down, June knows that the cracks in Pumpkin and Josh's marriage didn't form on their own. They were influenced by years of instability, years of emotional roller coasters, years of stress that she herself contributed to, even if she didn't intend to. And although she denies responsibility with her words, her silence in emotional moments says otherwise. Meanwhile, Alana watches all of this with a heavy heart. She feels torn between the mother she loves and the sister who raised her. She feels the pressure of choosing sides even when she doesn't want to. And in the quiet moments, she wonders if the family will ever truly heal or if this cycle of conflict will continue repeating forever. But deep inside, she knows one thing. Something bigger is coming. Confrontation. Conversation. Breaking point. Because when a family carries years of unspoken wounds, eventually someone speaks. Eventually someone breaks the silence. Eventually truths rise to the surface. And Pumpkin is getting closer to that moment. Closer to finally telling her side, not to attack, but to release the weight she's held inside for so long.